Welcome to the Holly Area Community Show. I am your host, Jody, and I'm here with a Mr. Mike Martin at the Holly High School Teachers Lounge.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we're here to talk about just the fact that school's out for summer.
It's done. It's June 1st. The kids are gone. Most of the teachers are gone. It's just a whole different feeling in here from what we're used to.
It's very quiet. And in this solitude, I thought we could talk a little bit about some of the things that have happened in the last year, some things that maybe people don't even normally hear about. I know that the sports teams are always have an exciting season in Holly and a lot of fan support, but I was wondering if we could talk a little bit more about, let's say, the arts.
Absolutely. You're right about the sports things. It's news, weather, and sports on TV. There's a sports section in newspapers. They tend to get pretty good coverage, and so we don't really need to do a lot to promote them. Other than right now, we're in the heart of the hunt to get to state softball, which of course you have particular interest in as well. Your daughter played very well yesterday.
An undefeated season, and we will be talking to Anita Heyer later.
Yes,
but
and so it's kind of fun to have those kind of things going on even after the school year ends. With the spring sports sometime, it seems like this year doesn't end, it keeps going, and I think it's really fun for kids. School's out, they're still having the fun part of the season where they're playing, so I'm really happy for those kids. It was great to be over there yesterday, despite the weather. It was really a fun day to be over at Monoghan and watch that. But you mentioned the arts, and there's a lot of things that go on in good schools that we try and make sure everything gets coverage. On our website, notify the newspaper, those kind of things. But there's just a lot of things that fly under the radar. And kind of a segue from talking about sports. Sports do get a lot of accolades and that. Sports tend to be a little bit cyclic. You have your ups and downs, but there are things in a school, in your arts program, your ag program, and other areas that they just keep going strong all the time. And I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about the arts in particular. The spring, we're very fortunate. We hired Tara Hager to teach our visual arts a few years back, and we're really seeing the positive ramifications of that. This year we went to the Minnesota State High School League Arts Show, and in our section there's 6 major awards, 6 categories awarded. Holly students took top 3 there.
They did.
Yeah, we had the best in show also, Hannah Junkie. So again, it doesn't get a lot of splash, but it's such a positive thing. And I was thinking one day when I was taking one of my morning walks about Tara and the art program, it's really kind of the essence of teaching, where we have these kids walk through your halls, and if you don't know them, or if you're new on the scene, you'd never have any idea that they had that artistic ability. I mean, one student looks like another student in that regard. Yeah. Then you take a teacher who has a keen interest in an area and a keen interest in her students, and they take those strengths of those students, they really bring it out and allow kids to enjoy it. And I think that's what, in the purest sense, that's what teaching is really all about.
I went to the Holly Art Show, and when I was in the student section, I noticed the quality. I actually bought one of the art pieces by one of the students.
I've made many offers to kids here to buy their work, because to me the student art is the best of all art, because it's not professional, but yet it really embodies the characteristics about that person, and I would just love to have some of that stuff framed and hanging in my house, in my office, and especially when it's the kind of quality that we're getting out of these kids right now.
So there's art, but there's also, you have something called the Science Olympiad, correct? And that's a kind of a new thing.
Right. Well, it is. 4 years ago, science teacher Ben Gunkelman said, "Is there any way we could get a little bit of money to start a Science Olympiad team?" He pitched a proposal, and we're doing it on a shoestring to begin with, and we kind of still are. But I said, I think you'd have kids interested in that. And Ben had just a real strong desire to get something going. And I always tease Ben now that he's our most successful coach in the school's history, because in 4 years now he's been to state 3 times.
That's amazing.
And I mean, he goes up against some of the big dogs, and they keep knocking him out. You get down to the state, it gets real difficult. Down there, there's a lot of teams down there, they're taking it as a class in large schools. So we're up against those folks too. It makes it difficult, but every year we've improved our status. This year we were a little unclear if we were 9th, 10th, or 11th. There was an accounting error. I don't know how that happens in a science competition. But
well, it wasn't a math competition, luckily.
That's a good point. There's a little math in the science part of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
But they came back, and they were really feeling good about themselves. And we had some outstanding finishes again. And there again, you have these kids walking through the halls, and you don't really, they're not all basketball players, they're not all musicians, but we have a large number of kids, fortunately, who are very strong in science and have a strong science aptitude. And when you take science and you take it from theory and put it into the practical realm, like Science Olympiad does, I mean, it really turns kids onto the concepts as well. And there's just a tremendous amount of learning that goes on there.
And you also try to build leadership. You've got the academics, the sports, the fine arts, but you try to build leadership, and I know you have a strong student council.
Yeah, we have a strong student council. I was going to mention one more thing about the Science Olympiad before we turn away from that. But with the Science Olympiad, next year we are actually going to have a class. We're not expecting kids to be in Science Olympiad to take the class, but from the principles of the things that are taught in the co-curricular activity, we're actually going to develop a class, which I won't get into the fine details of it, but may meet in a couple years. Kids are either going to have to take going to have to take chemistry or physics to graduate. This could be a very natural way to create kind of a practical physics class, which is probably the most practical of all the science classes. So, I mean, a lot of good things can come out of a co-curricular activity like that as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, you mentioned student council. Lori Stanos-Beauchamp, our new counselor this year, took over student council, and we just saw some amazing things happen with student council again this year. You talk about student leadership. Lori is very much one who is she's kind of a guide from the side. She really empowers the kids. And we struggled in one particular segment of our school with bullying this year, kids picking on each other. So I thought, one thing we haven't really done, we've done many, many things, but one thing we haven't done is talk to the kids about what could be done. So Lori talked to the student council, and they came up with a concept. I'll just briefly describe it. But they went into a couple grades, and they said, identify the student leaders in our school, kids who you really admire. And they got a list of 9 or 10 or 11 kids, and they brought those kids in. And the kids, first of all, were very flattered and very anxious to be a part of it. But they designed a program where they had a retreat one day, and they worked specifically with the bullying issues and with the kids. And it was based on the Youth Frontiers, the work that they do here. But I think I probably saw more good come out of that 4 or 5 hours of actual contact time, student-led, student-directed, working with students, that I've seen out of anything we've done. And again, that was all student leadership. It was just amazing to see that kind of thing happen.
And those are the sort of things that I think we like to hear about, because this is a well-rounded school, and we see a lot in the newspapers and on the news about sports, but it's so fun to hear about these other things, character building, and things that students are doing to develop themselves.
I know we're running short of time, but like the philanthropy used to talk about character building, where they go out in the philanthropic mode. The Play It Forward tour last fall that Brandon Gunning led. The New York trip for band, pop singers, jazz band. I mean, those are just incredible opportunities for kids. I'm really thankful to be a part of a small school that has such broad horizon.
And we're thankful to have you, Mike Martin, pulling it all together. And those advisors of those different groups are really key. And we're going to talk to a coach. We're going to take a little break and talk to Anita Heyer, who has the undefeated softball team this year. And so we're going to meet one of those people. But thank you so much for joining us, Mike.
Thank you.
And we're back with Anita Heyer, who is one of the staff at Holly High School. She's also a math teacher, but right now she is the varsity softball coach, and you have had quite the season.
Yeah, we have. We're currently undefeated still right now. We've had a really fun season. Had to battle some weather and stuff all year, but it's been enjoyable. Kids are just loving the sport right now, loving each other's company. I don't know, it's just been fun so far.
Now this isn't a very old program. The softball team has only been in existence for how many years?
9 years. The program is 9 years old, and I took over 2 years into the program, so this is my 7th year of coaching.
Okay.
And we really, came from building it from scratch up to where we are right now.
Now with an undefeated season, of course, there's some hopes and dreams that people are having that you will make another state appearance. Now, you made one a couple years ago?
2 years ago, we made it to the state tournament for the first time, obviously, in program history, and that was a goal coming into this season. We have 15 juniors and seniors on the team this year.
Oh, wow.
I think throughout the history of our program, we've developed these kids since they were 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and now they're finally juniors and seniors, so we've been there before, and that's definitely a goal for us this year.
Would you say that's the secret to the success, is that you've been able to develop these girls as younger players, or what would you say?
Absolutely. Not only developing as younger players, but they played a lot of varsity innings at young ages. So
when they were younger? Yeah. Well, I've been to a lot of those games, and I'm very excited, and I've got my fingers crossed. But at any rate, win or lose, whether you go to state or not, it's been a great season and a fun season, and thank you so much for what you do.
yes, thank you.
Until next time.